And we're recording now, so if you want to mute yourselves, that'd be great until you have a question. And the recording just records my face, so you don't have to worry about it. I did a home meditation retreat. It was like a correspondence meditation retreat through an organization called Dhamma Sukha, and the monk who teaches that particular method and runs that temple is called Bhante Vimalaramsi. And they teach mindfulness of breathing and the Brahma Viharas. So the Brahma Viharas are loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. So these are meditation practices in Theravada Buddhism. In Mahayana, they're called the four immeasurables. So you take joy or loving kindness or compassion or equanimity, and you radiate that to all beings, and that is your meditation object, right? So in the commentaries and in Theravada Buddhism, there's many meditations that are taught. The one that we usually teach in this class is Dhammakaya meditation. So you use a visualized object, place it in the center of the body. A visual object in the Buddhist literature is called Aloka Kasina, means light object. So I read about Bhante's work, and I heard some good things about it, so I wanted to give it a shot and see what his approach was like. Whenever I find a teacher or someone comes across my path and they have some information that I think could be useful for my students and for my practice, I have an obligation to try it. So I gave his approach a shot, and it has irreversibly, permanently, forever changed how I approach meditation, especially with Dhammakaya meditation. Since you're using a visualized object, there's a tendency to use too much effort, or there's a tendency to force, there's a tendency to get into a battle because you're using an object and you're trying to place it in a specific location in the body. So unless you're very subtle, unless you're very gentle, that can be difficult for some people. So these were the 6 steps that Bhante V teaches for mindfulness of breathing and for the Brahma Viharas. Whatever meditation that is being done, these six steps apply regardless. So with standard meditation, whenever the mind wanders, we just bring it back to the meditation object. That's the essence of the practice. We're noticing the breath, or we're resting at the center of the body for a few seconds or for a minute. And then we have a thought that comes up, some kind of sound, maybe draws our attention from the meditation object to that distraction. As we meditate more and more and develop our capacity and our experience with the practice, our time spent in wandering becomes less and less. So when we start our meditation practice, we find that in a given hour, our mind is wandering 90% of the time. So most of the time it's not present. There's not mindfulness. It's caught into some story, or it's in distraction. After some time, maybe some weeks or some months or some years, all depends on the practitioner, that amount of wandering lessens. So you end up going from 90% wandering in an hour to 70% wandering in an hour to 50% wandering to 40% wandering. And then when your practice is more mature, you find that your mind is not wandering much at all. You're aware with the object, resting with the object in mindfulness 90% of a given meditation, 90% of the minutes of a given session. So that being the case, even people who've meditated for a long time, like myself, the mind still wanders in the meditation session. It just doesn't wander for very long. And then if we're doing a retreat or if we're meditating a lot in a given period of time, then the wandering is significantly less, or the mind is just much, much, much quieter than its baseline. So for me, I have meditation as a career. I do this all the time. You know, the amount of quiet I experience is probably more than the average meditator. And that is usually the case with teachers or people who do a lot of this. They've meditated a few thousand hours. If you look at their brains, you'll see that that's the case. So the standard is that when the mind wanders, we just bring it back and we continue right where we left off. This is what I did for, the 12 years or the 11, 10 years I've been practicing meditation. Mind goes, just bring it back. Like, goes to whatever it is, doesn't matter whatever it is, you bring it back. Keep bringing it back, keep bringing it back. Eventually it stays. The issue with this is that, one, it takes a very long time to be able to develop proficiency in this for some people. It certainly did for me. The second issue is that if the mind wanders into a distraction of agitation, a distraction of emotional pain, a distraction of sensual desire, a distraction of doubt, a distraction of restlessness, when it wanders into that thought and that feeling, if it's not sufficiently released, what happens is when you bring the mind back, when you bring the attention back to the meditation object, it's very easy to take the agitation in the distraction and bring it into the meditation. What's an example of that? I'm meditating, I'm having a great time. It's enjoyable, it's quiet, it's still, and then randomly, for no reason at all, I have some thought about a fight that I got in with a person in the past, for example, an argument, and there's still emotional charge in that argument. So when it comes up, immediately my body tenses up and you start to feel the emotions, and then the story about what happened starts running, and you're in it now, So you remember, hey, I'm supposed to be meditating, and then you just come back to the meditation object, but you're still a little frustrated. And now you're frustrating yourself in the meditation. This is what happens whenever we deal with the hindrances. So how we usually work with it is, the hindrance comes up, our mind gets distracted into it, we come back to the meditation object, and we just keep sitting, we keep observing until that distraction fades away or disappears. And that is the harder way to do it. It works. Of course, I've done it. Every meditator has had to do that. But there is a better way. And I have found the better way. Bhante V has found it, and then he taught it to the world. So I'm using it for Dhammakaya meditation because it's so useful. Very similar to the 4 C's. If anyone here is watching this from the Dhammakaya temple, you're all familiar with the 4 C's. This is a little bit like that, but there's some extra steps. So the first R, these are called the 6 R's. The first R is to recognize that the mind has wandered, or recognize when the mind has wandered. One of the definitions of mindfulness is bare attention. It's bare noticing. It's being aware of something. But mindfulness also means knowing how mind's attention moves from one object to another. When we're meditating and our mind goes off, and then we realize that it has gone off and we come back to the meditation object, that moment that you realize your mind has wandered, that is the first R, that is recognize. The second R is release. me move this around. So I'm starting to get in my face. The second R is release. Release means that when the mind wanders into distraction, you let that distraction be there. So release is another word for let it be. What does that look like? I'm meditating. I have a thought of some situation or a person that elicits a response, like anger, frustration. That thought and memory and the frustration, the emotion is there. You let it be there. You release engagement. Let it go. You don't push it away. You don't bring it to you. You don't analyze it. You don't comment on it. You just let it be there. That's release, okay? When your mind wanders, and you'll notice this, maybe you're already familiar with this. When your mind wanders, you notice that every time it wanders, a little bit of tension arises in the physiology. So you're meditating and you're relaxed, you're aware, and then your mind wanders into some thought or some sound comes up in the field of experience. And immediately there's a little bit of tension. So for me, when I'm present and aware, all the muscles in my stomach are relaxed. That's just how my body, how my physiology operates now. As soon as a distraction comes up, the muscles in the stomach tense a little bit. So you'll notice this now that I've pointed it out. You're aware, you're noticing, you're mindful. Boom, distraction comes up, you'll feel and notice the tension, the little tension that arises in your mind and your body. So the third step is to relax that tension. You relax the body. You relax that slight tension in the physiology, okay? Once you relax, the next step is the fourth R, which is re-smile. So re-smile implies that you're already smiling. So from the beginning of the meditation all the way into the end of the meditation, you're gonna smile slightly, just a slight smile. Not a big grin, just slight, so that it keeps your mind light, keeps the meditation enjoyable. And when you're smiling a little bit, it gives you permission to be happy. Smile with your slight smile here, smile with your eyes, smile with your mind. Every time your mind wanders and you've done the recognize, release, relax, and the re-smile step, feel the subtle joy from the smile, from smiling with your lips, from smiling with your eyes, from smiling with your mind. And then you do the fifth step, which is return to the meditation object. So instead of bringing the agitation, instead of bringing the frustration, instead of bringing the restlessness, instead of bringing the lust, instead of bringing the doubt back to the meditation object, you let that hindrance be there and you do the 6 R's. You re-smile, then you return. So that means if you need to take your time with these steps, then that's absolutely what you do. Once you've re-smiled and you feel the subtle joy, you return to the meditation object and you notice the center of the body, you rest your mind at the center of the body or the breath, whatever your object is. And then the final step is to repeat. That's the 6th R. So the 6th R means you stay with the breath or the object gently, with ease and joy for as long as you can. When the mind wanders, you repeat this process. So every time your mind wanders, you have an opportunity to release craving. Every time your mind wanders, you have an opportunity to let go. Every time your mind wanders, you have a chance to refresh your meditation with joy by re-smiling and coming back to the meditation object. This is as good as it gets. Why is this effective? Why does this work? Because when the joy is sufficiently established in the meditation, your mind doesn't want to go to the past, present, or future. It doesn't want to be invested in thought because it's seeing that the joy of relaxing, the joy of letting go is more refined than the joy of thinking. It feels better to be present and to be quiet than it does to be in distraction. But we have to experience that directly. And once we experience it directly through the 6 R's, our mind inclines towards silence. It inclines towards joy. It inclines towards letting go. Initially, it doesn't. So through this process and through practicing meditation, we get more familiar, accustomed with it. And then gradually, the mind becomes quieter and quieter. It becomes tranquilized by joy and by relaxation. So the tranquility, what does that word mean in the context of meditation? It's that peaceful quiet. The relaxation, the letting go is so deep that it tranquilizes the body from restlessness. It tranquilizes thought from being so active. So what happens is, as this relaxation deepens, as this letting go deepens, as this calm and joy deepen, and as our mindfulness becomes more stable, crisp, clear, we have more quietness in meditation. And because there's not so much content that is rolling, we have less distraction and less mind wandering. So this is a positive feedback loop. You do the 6 R's, you feel joy. With more joy, you experience more quiet. With more quiet, there's deeper peace, and it just rolls and rolls and rolls. So it doesn't mean that it needs to be like this explosive joy all the way, but generally there's this feeling of well-being and this feeling of enjoyableness. Maybe the joy that we first experience when the mind starts to get settled is like very powerful and rapturous. It may not always be that way, but that subtle joy from just the smile, the subtle joy from just the quiet, that is very powerful, and it is really the friend of stillness. So these 6 R's, they really work. If it's really difficult to get 5 minutes of no mind wandering, 10 minutes of no mind wandering, 15 minutes of no mind wandering, 20 minutes of no mind wandering without doing a long meditation retreat or without being a monastic in those kinds of conditions where you're meditating, many hours a day. But because every time your mind wanders, you bring joy to the object, because every time the mind wanders, you're actually practicing right effort. You're practicing the path by releasing craving, releasing that tension that arises in the body when the mind wanders to something that it wants or wanders to something that it's attached to, and you release that. You are releasing craving. You are that is the path right there. You are letting go. Every single time something comes up and you release that tension, you are letting go. Because you're doing that, because you're releasing craving, and because you're bringing joy into the meditations, that subtle joy every time your mind wanders, it really allows quietness to arise, and that quietness is what is responsible for the mind not wandering so much. So 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of just doing this, of taking this approach just for an hour a day, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, you'd be surprised how quiet it can become. I was blown away following this method and experience meditation where like mind doesn't wander for such extended periods of time. It's almost unbelievable. And you're like, wow, how is this possible off of a meditation retreat? I don't understand. And it's because of the 6 R's, because of the joy, because of the release of craving. You know, meditation, many times, even I've told people for years, you meditate, it's going to be a battle. You better buckle up, sharpen your sword, and get ready. You know, and it's true, but it doesn't need to be that way. If you make it easy, it's going to be easy. If you make it hard, it's going to be hard. You know, I rather do it the easy way and get there faster if the result's going to be the same. I mean, really. I think if you've been a spiritual practitioner for 5 years or 10 years, I think you've done enough fighting. Just, you know, you're going to have to fight in other areas. At least in meditation, just let it be. And see really where things can go when you've become more familiar with this process. So the 6 R's, this is our process for Dhammakaya meditation, or any of the meditations that I teach from this point forward. I'm not an authorized teacher under Bhante V. And you know, but this technique, I've learned a portion of it that's so similar, it just misses the release step. It misses the let the distraction be there step and release the tension in the body step, release the craving. And it misses the part where, you know, you feel the smile in the face and in the mind right before you come back to the meditation. Just those 2 crucial things. I haven't found it anywhere else, but it's been very useful for my practice. And you know, being taught, having this approach be taught by a Buddhist monk, I'm sure that the case is that whatever meditation it is that people are doing, if it can benefit, then use this cycle. So that's the 6 R's, credited to Bhante Vimalaramsi. It is profound, and we'll be working with it indefinitely. Initially, it may seem that it's a lot to do every time your mind wanders, but gradually, when you become used to it, you just are able to do it very quickly. Distraction comes up, you let it be there, relax attention, return to the meditation object, smile, boom, and then you're back. You know, you can eventually, you start doing it very quickly. But initially, you might have to, you know, go through it, take your time with the distraction. You know, there's no rush here. Take your time with the distractions and the stuff that comes up in the meditation. Really let it be there, you know, even if it's for a few seconds or for several seconds after you've recognized the mind has wandered. So. Any questions, anyone?
I do. So it sounds like the recognition and the re-smiling parts are sort of an act of acceptance, as opposed to trying to push it away or to control it in any ways. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. You let it be there. Let it be. When the mind wanders and there's like frustration, you let the frustration be there. It's actually letting it be there that disempowers it. It's trying to change it that makes it much larger than it is, or makes it persistent. But you notice when you let go and you just let it be, that things can clear out or things will pass. in a way that they didn't before. Because usually it comes up and we feel like, oh, what am I supposed to do about it? But now the instruction is just whatever comes up that takes your mind completely off of the meditation object, just let it be there. If you're with the meditation object and there's thoughts arising or feelings arising, but they don't completely take you off the meditation object, you don't need to do you don't need to 6R them. You just let them be there. You only 6R the stuff that your mind has totally wandered off into. By wandered off, I mean you're no longer on the breath or on the meditation object at all. Yeah.
Here's if I may, what's the meditation object? What does that mean? Is it a focus on a particular thing, or do you mean something internal?
So like at the park, I was teaching you to notice your breath and feel your body, notice your breath. So that could be the meditation object. The other meditation object that we do is we visualize an object like this, a bright object, could be a sun or a moon, and we place it inside the abdomen. So like I said, there's different ways to meditate. This may be that you may not like meditating like this, putting this inside your stomach. But it also happens to be a location where a lot of happiness arises from, so people like to meditate there. It's called the center of the body. And Mary, I can send you a video later that explains more about the center of the body specifically, because I didn't teach that at the park.
Got it. Great. That'd be great.
Yeah. I'm like running from the sun here. Anyways, excuse me for that. All right. So we can do our sit now, if everyone's ready. Check the time here. Yeah. All right, so we could all get situated, get into our meditation posture. We'll do a short sit. Let's do 30 minutes. Let's begin with closing our eyes very gently. Unhinge the jaw. Relax all the tiny muscles in the forehead, around the eyelids. And relax the eyes themselves. Release all the muscles in the abdomen. Relax your whole stomach. Let's notice the body breathing. Body breathes all on its own without any effort on your part. We can continue to be mindful and aware of the breath. Or we can use our visual object placed in the center of the body. Relax. And notice. And the mind wanders from its object. Recognize, release, relax, re-smile, return, repeat. Smile now from this point until the end of the meditation. Smile slightly. Smile with the lips, smile with the eyes, but most importantly, softly smile with the mind. And with this smiling mind, begin to notice the breath or your visual object. Gently, softly. For as long as you can. Just feel and notice from one moment to the next. When the distraction comes up, release, let it be. Relax the tension from the wandering. Smile, return, repeat. Let's do this resting in silence till the end of our meditation. Our final minute in meditation. Collecting all the joy and merit the center of our body. Briefly, we can share loving kindness with all beings. See the light from the center radiating to cover the entirety of our home. Here we can see all the people that are near and dear to us, living or passed on. Friends, family members, parents, spouses, children, teachers, pets. See all of them enveloped in light and say to them, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be free. See ripples of light embracing the entirety of your city, the entirety of your country, the entirety of the world, radiating beyond the bounds of the world through the whole universe, reaching all realms above, all realms below, all worlds and all places and all time. With a boundless heart, may all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free. May they all awaken. Bring our minds back to the center. Collecting all the purity from this meditation. Here we can make a resolution or a wish from the center of the body, having the intention rest there. By the power of the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, may all the beings here receive the merit of this practice May you all be blessed with happiness, with health. May you all be free from suffering. May you awaken to enlightenment and the Dhammakaya within. May all your wishes be fulfilled. May all your obstacles be overcome. May you continue in the accumulation of merit and wisdom. May you serve and help other beings. May all beings attain the final nirvana. May they all awaken. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. This concludes our meditation today. Can slowly open your eyes when you're ready. Stop the recording now.